People who spread lies about you always overlook one crucial thing. The wrong audience can turn into their biggest downfall, and that is exactly what is happening now. They tried to twist your name, chosen one, thinking they were clever. They believed they were constructing a version of you that looked weak, chaotic, or untrustworthy. But everything shifted the moment their words reached someone who actually pays attention. Someone who doesn't accept stories just because they sound convincing. Someone who observes, questions, and sees through distortion instantly. Here's the picture that reflects their mistake. They threw mud at your reputation, fully expecting it to stick and define you. But they forgot to check the direction of the wind, and instead of marking you, it came right back to them. Fast, uncontrolled, and undeniable. And everyone around witnessed it happen without them even realizing. What they didn't understand is that lies don't survive in front of awareness. They collapse the moment they are examined. People with real discernment don't just absorb information, they verify it. They compare words with character, behavior, and consistency. And when the story doesn't align with what is already known about you, the illusion breaks, and the one who created it becomes the source of the problem. That is why distance has formed now. Not because you were ever guilty, but because their distortion was exposed. They are not avoiding you out of fear of you. They are avoiding you because your existence now reflects what they did back to them. And the truth landed harder than they ever expected. They never considered that someone would actually think independently. They never anticipated that your energy, your actions, and your consistency would speak louder than any story built in your absence. The same name they tried to throw away is now being protected, respected, and defended by someone who sees right through manipulation. And the liar knows it. You can see it in how they act now. They move weird, they don't make eye contact. They avoid being in the same space as you. They're hoping the silence hides their guilt, but silence only exposes them more. This entire situation isn't just a little gossip that backfired. It's a full-blown exposure. When they lied about you to someone who actually has emotional intelligence, common sense, or even social influence, they basically set a trap for themselves. They didn't just lose control of the story, they lost control of how they're seen. And trust this, once someone realizes a liar is in their circle, their whole attitude changes. They don't treat them the same, they don't trust them the same, they don't laugh at their jokes the same. Even quiet people react differently when they know the truth. And that shift is loud. They really believed you'd never find out. They thought the lie would stay hidden. But truth has a funny way of traveling. It doesn't need your permission or your presence. It moves on its own. It shows up when it wants. And when it arrives, it doesn't knock politely. It kicks the door open and exposes everything. That's what happened here. Your name walked in before you did. Your energy walked in before you did. Your real character stood in the room long before you even knew your name was being discussed. And that's why they're distant. That's why they're nervous. Because nothing they said about you could overpower the truth people already sensed. When you walk with truth, the universe backs you up without you lifting a finger. Sometimes real justice looks like this. The liar gets stuck living with the consequences of their own words. They have to sit with the embarrassment of being caught. They have to deal with someone looking at them differently. They feel the weight of their own behavior every time they wake up. And every time they see you, it hits harder. You're not doing anything to them, but your presence reminds them of everything they tried to do to you. This is the part that really makes them panic. The person they lied to no longer views them the same way. That one conversation they thought would ruin you became the moment their own mask slipped. They thought they were pulling strings. Instead, they exposed their own jealousy, bitterness, and insecurity. And there's no undoing it. No amount of smiling can fix what was shown. No apology can erase what they revealed about themselves. They built a lie, thinking it would control the narrative, but all it did was drag them into a quiet investigation they didn't know they started. Let's be real. This wasn't a small misunderstanding. This wasn't some harmless story. It was a full attempt to damage your character behind your back. They wanted to shrink you in someone else's eyes. They wanted to twist the truth so people would doubt you. But they underestimated something huge. They forgot that the universe protects people whose intentions are clean. You didn't need to clap back. You didn't need to defend yourself. You didn't need to go around proving anything. Your spirit, your actions, your consistency, your history, all spoke for you way louder than their lie ever could. So when you notice people acting strange, stepping back, or avoiding you, understand something. You're not imagining it. Their guilt is screaming inside them. They know what they said. They know who they tried to influence. They know the truth came out. And now they can't stand being around you because you represent everything they're not. Honest, steady, real. Their lie didn't break you. It broke their own image. And now they're the ones dealing with the fallout. Every time you show up and stay calm, they feel exposed. Every time you stay grounded, they feel seen. Every time you grow, succeed, or simply continue being yourself, it reminds them that their plan didn't work. And the person they tried to poison against you, that person sees everything clearly now. They see your truth. They see the liar's weakness. They see the difference between your character and the story they were told. This is why the liar is silent. This is why they avoid you. This is why they look uncomfortable in rooms you haven't even walked into yet. Your presence has power. Your name carries weight. Not because you're trying to prove anything, but because truth naturally exposes lies without effort. So no, chosen one, you're not imagining things. They are staying away from you because the universe handed them a mirror they can't escape. And every time they look into it, they see the truth of what they did. That's the price of lying about a chosen soul to the wrong person. The truth catches them before you ever need to. Chosen one. Before we go any further, thank you for being here. Your energy keeps messages like this alive. And if you've ever felt someone pull away from you for reasons that never made sense, trust me, you're going to want to hear every second of what comes next. Tap the like and subscribe button to push this truth further into the world, and drop 777 in the comments, so I know you're ready to rise above the lies people tried to attach to your name. And if you want to support the team behind this message with a super thanks, even the smallest gift helps this mission grow. It doesn't matter if it's a penny or a fortune. It all fuels the work of exposing hidden truths and protecting souls like you who deserve clarity, not confusion. And now, chosen one, let's move step by step into the real reason they're avoiding you. Stay with me, because if you've ever felt the sting of being misunderstood, this next part is going to hit in a way you can't ignore. Let's begin. Number 1. They played a high-stakes game with your name and got wiped out. People who lie about you always forget the cost until the bill comes back with their name on it. That's the punch that just landed on them, chosen one, and it's hitting harder than anything you could have said. They gambled your reputation like it was a toy, like they were untouchable, like the universe wasn't watching them play a game they were never built for. And now they're paying the price, with interest. They sat at a table way above their level, coughing up fake stories like nervous amateurs trying to impress the room. They thought taking shots at your character made them look powerful, But here's the part that breaks their pride. The person they ran to wasn't fooled. They weren't vulnerable. They weren't empty-headed. They weren't bored enough to swallow a lie just because it came packaged with a dramatic tone. They listened, yes, but not in the way the liar hoped. They listened the way smart people do, analyzing, observing, connecting dots. And the moment the liar spat your name out like poison, the other person instantly recognized what was really happening. Jealousy, insecurity, low confidence, pretending to be insight. That's when the liar's mask cracked. Think about this chosen one. What kind of person lies about someone who never harmed them? Only someone terrified of your presence, your clarity, and your natural influence. You walk into a room and people feel safer. They walk into a room and people feel drained. You speak and people find direction. They speak and people get confused. They hated that contrast. They hated how you didn't have to try to stand out. They hated how you existed without shrinking. So they went behind your back and tried to erase you from someone else's mind before you ever got the chance to be seen. But they didn't know that the person they chose was the worst possible person to lie to. Not emotionally weak, not gullible, not easily swayed. They told your story to someone who values truth more than noise. Someone who pays attention to energy more than words. They didn't pick the wrong ear. They picked the sharpest ear in the room. And here's where the universe made its move. That person decided to watch you for themselves, quietly, calmly, without telling the liar a thing. They compared the real you with the story they'd been fed, and the lie collapsed instantly. That's when the liar started losing sleep, because once someone has seen the truth, their behavior changes. Their silence becomes a message. Their shift becomes a judgment. They don't attack the liar. No, they simply pull away from them, and the liar feels that distance like a hole opening under their feet. They wonder, did they figure it out? Did they put the pieces together? Did they tell the chosen one what was said? Did their own story betray them? That's why they're staying away from you now. It's not guilt, it's fear. Fear of being exposed. Fear of being confronted by your existence. Fear that the truth is spreading faster than they can hide. They don't avoid you because they won. They avoid you because they lost the second they opened their mouth. They thought speaking first gave them control. They thought slandering you would give them an advantage. But here's a fact that shatters them. Real people don't believe lies easily. Real people don't judge without watching. Real people don't turn on someone without feeling the energy for themselves. They thought they were planting a trap for you. Instead, they stepped straight into one designed by their own ego. The person they tried to impress now sees them as unstable, messy, and untrustworthy. The kind of person who attacks others out of insecurity. The kind of person who uses someone else's name for clout. That's the chain around their ankle. Now, every time they think about you, they feel it get tighter. And let's address the question sitting in the back of your mind. What if the person they lied to already told you? What if they're waiting to see how you move? What if your calmness right now is terrifying the liar because they can't tell whether you know or not? That's the exact fear destroying them. Your silence is louder than any accusation. Your peace is louder than any comeback. They don't know how much you know, and that uncertainty eats their confidence like acid. Here's another truth that hits them harder than anything. Your energy exposed their lie long before the words ever reached you. You don't have to defend your character when your presence does it for you. You don't have to fight for your reputation when your energy outshines every rumor. You don't have to prove anything when the universe keeps receipts they can't delete. They misplayed their entire hand. They walked into a game they didn't understand. Bet your reputation like it was cheap and discovered too late that they were up against truth itself.
Truth doesn't bluff. Truth doesn't shake. Truth doesn't get intimidated. Truth just waits, and then it hits with precision. While they're hiding, chosen one, ask yourself, why does your existence scare them this much? Why does your name carry more weight than anything they can manufacture? Why does your silence make them flinch? It's simple. Lies can only survive in the dark, and you walk with too much light. They couldn't manipulate the person they went to. They couldn't twist the narrative. They couldn't turn someone against you. Instead, the person they chose now sees everything clearly. They see your real character. They see the liar's desperation. They see the contrast. This is why the liar keeps their distance, not because they're done with you, because they're terrified of you. Terrified of what you know, terrified of what might surface, terrified of the universe choosing your truth over their performance. They tried to bury your name, but they dug their own grave. They tried to dim your presence, but they shut off their own light. They tried to destroy your image, but they exposed their own character. That's the brutal reality they can't escape. And while they sit in their corner, shaking at the consequences of their own choices, you rise, you grow, you glow. Not because you're trying to prove anything, but because nothing they said could ever touch the truth the universe placed on your life. They lost the moment they lied. Chosen one. So let them avoid you, let them hide, let them panic. Every time your name appears, their fear is just the echo of their own betrayal. Meanwhile, you move forward untouched, unbothered, unshaken. Their lie had no power. Your truth had all of it. Number 2, they played the villain role without realizing the universe was grading them. People don't expose you when they lie. They exposed the parts of themselves they hoped no one would ever see. This truth is slicing them open right now, chosen one. They thought they were so slick, so subtle, so untouchable. One little twist of your truth, one little stab in your absence, one little smear to make themselves look bigger, wiser, more important. But they didn't realize the universe had turned the camera on them the second they opened their mouth. They stepped into the villain role thinking it was a joke, never realizing this was the final exam of their character, and the grade wasn't written in ink. It was carved into how they'll be remembered. Imagine someone walking into what they think is a chill gathering, laughing, gossiping, showing off, only to discover they just walked into a courtroom where every word they spoke became evidence. That's exactly what they did. They didn't just lie about you. They performed their lie like a show, thinking the audience would applaud. But the problem is, chosen one. The audience wasn't who they assumed. The person they whispered to wasn't a gossip fan. They were an evaluator, a quiet observer, a truth-detecting force who doesn't play when it comes to character. They thought you were just another name to throw around. They didn't understand that you were the mirror in their story, the unexpected reflection that reveals everything they tried to hide. You weren't the test because you're perfect. You were the test because your presence exposes the gap between who people pretend to be and who they actually are. And when they were left alone with the opportunity to protect you or betray you, they showed their true self faster than a mask slipping during a storm. Here's a quote that fits them perfectly. Weak character collapses the moment no one is watching, and that's exactly what happened. They weren't judged on how they treated you in public. They were judged on what they did when they thought no one would ever find out. They chose jealousy over loyalty. They chose projection over honesty. They chose ego over integrity. That wasn't an accident. That was their true nature speaking without a filter. Imagine someone seeing your boundaries as an insult, your silence as an attack, your confidence as arrogance. That's what insecure people do. They turn your strengths into weapons in their mind,
because they don't know how to handle someone who doesn't shrink to make them comfortable. They called your peace ego because they don't know peace themselves. They called your independence selfish because they rely on others to feel valuable. They called your stillness passive-aggressive because your calm exposed their chaos. Another quote for their spirit. A lie told about you tells the world exactly who the liar is. They weren't describing you when they lied. They were revealing every wound they never healed, every insecurity they duct-taped over, every fear they drown in fake confidence. Their lie wasn't about you. It was about the parts of themselves they hoped no one would recognize. And here's the part that eats them alive. They don't know what you know. They don't know what the listener picked up on. They don't know who saw through them. They don't know how far the truth has traveled. That uncertainty is their punishment. Chosen one. That is why they avoid you like you're holding the answer key to their failure. They're not scared of you. They're scared of their own reflection in your presence. Imagine dropping a rumor, thinking it's harmless, only to find out the listener was a judge, not a puppet. Someone with discernment, someone with vision, someone who doesn't take sides based on noise, but on consistency and truth. That's what cuts them, because that person sees them now, really sees them. And once someone sees your true nature, they can never unsee it. The liar's reputation didn't just crack, it permanently shifted. Here's another truth they can't outrun. The test wasn't whether they liked you. The test was whether they respected you when you weren't there to protect yourself. And they failed. Not because the test was difficult, but because who they are when no one is watching was weak. They weren't supposed to stand on a stage and praise you. They were supposed to simply not betray you. That was the entire assignment. And they chose villain instead. Imagine being offered a moment that could have revealed your loyalty, your integrity, your solidness as a human being. A single moment that could have deepened the bond between you. A moment that could have reflected maturity, understanding, and growth. Instead, they twisted it into a tool used against you. And what makes it even more unfortunate is this. They truly believed no one would ever see through it. But life always sees. Truth always sees. Energy never lies. Even the people involved felt it. That's why the distance appeared. That's why the atmosphere changed. That's why their presence around you feels heavier, inconsistent, unsettled. Now they shrink the moment you enter a space. Not because of anything you said, but because of what they carry inside. Their own actions are pressing down on them in silence. And silent guilt is the most consuming kind. It doesn't shout. It erodes. They don't know how much you've understood. They don't know what was already clarified behind the scenes. They don't know whether their story is still standing or already collapsed without their awareness. So they live in uncertainty, and that uncertainty punishes them more than any confrontation ever could. Their mind fills in the gaps, and those gaps become their own judgment. It's like they tried to center themselves in a story that no longer belongs to them. But the narrative shifted quietly, without noise, without drama. What they thought would elevate them only exposed them. What they thought would diminish you only revealed your stability even more clearly. They believed they were shaping the outcome, but their choices shaped their own reflection instead. And reality simply mirrored it back to them without emotion. You didn't need to fight for the truth. You didn't need to defend your position. You didn't need to raise your voice or prove anything. You simply continued being yourself. And that consistency alone made everything visible. Now they avoid your presence because it reflects something they can't escape. You are the reminder of what they tried to distort. You are the proof of what they failed to understand. You are the moment they lost control of the story they thought they owned.
Let them keep their distance. Let them squirm. Let them fear the silence they created. They didn't just slip up. They revealed the real blueprint of their character. This wasn't a mistake. This was a confession, and the universe took note. You weren't meant to carry their lie. You were meant to witness their unraveling. They played villain chosen one. They forgot the universe watches every scene, and failure was the only ending they wrote for themselves. Number 3. Their lie turned into a full investigation, and they're the prime suspect. Every lie leaves a trail, and theirs leads straight back to their own insecurity. That's the gut punch they're feeling right now. Chosen one. The moment they twisted your name, they didn't just start drama. They created a crime scene with themselves at the center. They thought a lie whispered in the dark would disappear. They didn't realize lies behave like smoke. They stain everything they touch, including the person who lit the match. Imagine someone tossing dirt at your reputation, assuming the wind would hide their fingerprints. But the wind decided to switch directions. Now the dirt sits on their hands, their clothes, their face, visible to anyone paying attention. They didn't tell a story, they exposed themselves. And here's the fact they can't escape. People remember tone, energy, and intention more than words. Their bitterness was louder than their lie. The person they tried to influence didn't swallow the story. They studied it. They replayed every detail. They noticed the cracks. Why did the liar look so eager? Why did the chosen one's behavior never match the accusation? Imagine someone hitting rewind on every sentence, replaying your name in their mind, comparing your actions to the slander. That's what's happening now. Their lie is being examined like evidence under bright forensic lights. And here's the twist that destroys them. You didn't have to investigate anything. The witness they chose did it for you, quietly, calmly, with full clarity. They saw the insecurity the liar tried to hide. They noticed how your peace never shifted. They noticed how your consistency never broke. And the more they watched you, the more the lie dissolved. Now the liar feels watched. Not by you, but by the truth they woke up. They're paranoid, wondering who knows what, wondering if the person they lied to is waiting for the right moment to reveal everything, wondering if you already heard, wondering if their own behavior is giving them away. Imagine trying to lock you out, only to discover the door wasn't yours. It belonged to the person they tried to manipulate, and that person has now locked them out instead. They didn't just sabotage your name, they sabotaged their access, their credibility, their image, and all while you stayed still. Number 4. Their envy screamed through the lie and exposed them instantly. Jealousy always betrays its owner before the lie ever reaches its target. That's the punch that knocked the air out of them. Chosen one. They thought they could disguise envy as concern, wrap insecurity in soft language, and pass off bitterness as honesty. But jealousy is terrible at acting. It shows its face even when the liar thinks they're performing flawlessly. From the moment they mentioned your name, something cracked in their voice. Imagine someone trying to whisper while holding a fire in their throat. The heat slips out. No matter how carefully they shape the words, their tone didn't match their message. Their energy didn't match their story, and the listener felt the mismatch like a sharp change in temperature. Real care carries lightness. Fake concern drags like chains, and their words dragged so hard the listener couldn't ignore it. They thought they were planting seeds of doubt about you, but they ended up planting red flags about themselves. The listener heard the strain, the forced pauses, the way their voice wobbled at the edges. That's jealousy.
never smooth, never steady, never controlled. It reveals itself even when the liar rehearses.
Imagine two portraits side by side, one of you calm and unbothered, and one of them jittery, defensive, and trying too hard to sound wise. The contrast alone exposes the truth. You weren't competing with them. You weren't chasing attention or battling for approval. You were simply existing. And your natural confidence made their insecurities louder than their accusations. Here's a question creeping through their mind right now. Did the listener notice how desperate I sounded? Yes, they did. They didn't call it out, but they felt it in their gut. And now the liar can't shake the fear that their jealousy was obvious. Imagine standing on a stage meant for honesty, but every time they spoke your name, their own cracks echoed through the microphone. That's what happened. Their lie didn't expose you. It exposed their envy, their insecurity, and the jealousy they swore they didn't have. Now they avoid you because being near you reminds them of the moment their mask slipped. They lost credibility with their own voice, and that's a mistake they can never take back. Number 5. Your energy exposes them faster than any words. And that's why they run. Truth doesn't chase liars. It reveals them by simply standing still. That line alone is enough to make them break into a sweat, chosen one. Because that's exactly what your presence does. You don't have to confront them. You don't have to argue. You don't need a speech, a lecture, or a breakdown of what they did. Your existence is the lie detector they desperately wish didn't exist. They're not staying away because they're brave. They're staying away because they're terrified. Confrontation would have given them a stage, a place to perform, a chance to twist the story, squeeze out fake tears, and pretend the whole thing was just a misunderstanding. But silence, your silence gives them nothing to work with, no script, no control, no room to breathe. Silence is the one thing a liar cannot survive, because it forces their own guilt to speak for them. Imagine a thief trying to stand casually in a store while the alarm is blaring behind them. That's how they feel around you. Your presence shines a light they can't dim. You carry too much clarity, too much alignment, too much inner steadiness for their lie to stand upright. The image they painted only works in rooms where you're absent. The moment you walk in, their whole story melts like cheap plastic under heat. Imagine someone claiming they saw storm clouds, but then you walk in glowing like sunshine. Their lie doesn't just crack, it collapses. Anyone looking at you can tell instantly that the story doesn't match the person. You became the living contradiction. Their narrative can't survive. And here's what really destroys them: your growth. You've evolved. You move with peace they never expected. Your confidence is real. Your glow is undeniable. Every compliment someone gives you is another reminder that their lie didn't stick. People see your consistency, your kindness, your authenticity. And all of that screams one thing: they were wrong about you. Now ask yourself this: why do they avoid you so aggressively? Because one glance at you exposes them. One moment in your energy pulls their mask off. The difference between who you are and who they claimed you were is violent. It's loud. It's humiliating. They bet against your character. They lost everything. You didn't need revenge. You became the verdict. And your silence. It's the loudest truth they've ever heard. Number 6. They tried to trick the wrong soul. And now truth walks with muscle. Some people don't need proof. The lie exposes itself the moment it speaks. That's the punchline haunting them, chosen one. They really thought they could twist your name, sprinkle fake innocence on top, and slide their jealousy under the radar like a smooth operator. But they forgot one fatal detail. Not everyone is gullible.
Not everyone is desperate for gossip. Not everyone is impressed by a shaky performance. The person they lied to had real discernment, not the pretend kind. The type of intuition that notices tone shifts, energy drops, forced smiles, and bitter edges hiding behind. "I'm just worried." People like that don't listen with their ears. They listen with their entire being. And the second that lie left the liar's mouth, the air changed. Something didn't match. The words were soft, but the insecurity was loud. The delivery was calm, but the jealousy screamed through the cracks. That's what wise people catch instantly. Imagine someone thinking they're playing a brilliant chess move, only to realize they're playing against someone who memorized the entire board before they even arrived. That's how foolish the liar looked. And here's the twist that destroys them. They lied about you to someone who already admired you quietly. Someone who respected you without needing applause. Someone who saw your character long before the liar tried to stain it. The listener didn't argue, didn't react, didn't feed the drama. They simply observed, and every second they watched, the truth separated itself from the nonsense. They didn't see a villain when your name came up. They saw a liar drowning in their own insecurities. The shift happened silently but permanently. Loyalty moved toward you. The respect they had for you grew, and now that person guards your name like a shield in rooms you may never walk into. Imagine someone trying to poison a river, only to find out the river flows into a protected sanctuary. That's what happened. Your character was already safe, already respected, already known. The lie never stood a chance, and the liar feels it. They feel the coldness, the distant tone, the sudden lack of trust. They don't know the exact moment they exposed themselves, but they know they did. They tried to control the narrative. Instead, they handed the truth to someone who can detect fraud from miles away. You didn't have to defend yourself. You didn't have to correct anything. You didn't even have to show up. The universe placed the right eyes, the right ears, and the right intuition in the room. And the liar, they got exposed without you ever saying a word. Number 7. They built a lie so massive, it became the prison they're rotating in. Every lie is a brick. Stack enough of them, and the liar becomes their own inmate. That's the truth chewing through them right now, chosen one. They didn't just throw one rumor into the air. They constructed an entire fake universe with you as the villain and themselves as the tragic hero. They loved the attention, they loved the sympathy, they loved the illusion of control. But here's the cosmic joke. The bigger the lie, the smaller the space they get to live in. Imagine someone building a house out of cardboard and pretending it's a fortress. It feels sturdy until the first breeze of truth comes through. That's their life now. They're trapped inside the narrative they created, holding the walls up with shaky hands because admitting the truth would collapse everything they built. And that's their nightmare. To fix things, they'd have to confess everything. Jealousy, manipulation, insecurity, sabotage. And they don't have the backbone for that kind of honesty. So instead of owning up, they vanish. Not out of peace, not out of maturity, out of fear. This distance isn't healing, it's self-imposed exile. They built a gate to keep you away, but forgot they were standing on the wrong side when it slammed shut. Your existence didn't cut them off. Their own lie sealed the door. Imagine this. Every compliment you receive is a crack spreading across their walls. Every level you reach is another reminder that their story couldn't stop your rise. Every person who sees your worth adds weight to the truth pressing against their cage. They can't celebrate you publicly without exposing themselves. They can't come close without feeling their mask peeling off. So they watch in silence, pretending they're unbothered, pretending they've moved on, while internally replaying every word they twisted. Here's the question haunting them.
How do I return without admitting everything? They can't. Truth is the only road back, and truth is exactly what they have spent this whole time running from. So they sit in the prison they built, staring at the locked door and realizing the key was honesty, something they were never brave enough to touch. Number 8. You turned into the living receipt that blew their lie to dust. Nothing exposes a lie faster than the success of the person it targeted. That's the punch tearing them apart. Chosen one. They didn't just hope you'd fall, they planned on it. They counted on your silence being misread. They prayed your calm would look suspicious. They wanted your stillness to resemble guilt, so their story would look believable. But instead of collapsing, you evolved into the exact proof that destroys everything they said. They built their lie like a fragile sculpture, hoping no one would touch it. And then you walked into the room, glowing, steady, elevated, and their sculpture shattered on sight. Every level you reach punches another hole straight through their narrative. Your peace burns their story. Your growth erases their claims. Your glow contradicts every ugly word they tried to attach to your name. You didn't need to respond. You became the response. Imagine someone telling the world that you're chaotic, broken, or unstable, only for you to walk in, radiating self-respect, clarity, and maturity. Their lie didn't just crack, it collapsed into powder. That's the torture they live with now. You became evidence they can't debate, spin, or dodge. Your entire life is the receipt they never thought you'd grow into. And here's what stings them the most. They can't clap for you without exposing themselves. They can't praise your growth without admitting their narrative was trash. Every achievement you make, every compliment you get, every room you walk into with calm confidence. It all drags their false story back into the spotlight like a broken prop in a bad play. They don't avoid you because they've healed. They avoid you because being near you reminds them of their failure. Your existence is the truth they hoped would disappear. Your elevation is the mirror they can't face. Your authenticity is the hammer that smashes their lie again and again. They thought your downfall would validate them. Instead, your evolution obliterated them. You became undeniable. You became the proof they never wanted to exist. Number 9. They tried to destroy your name and accidentally erased themselves. Every lie they told about you was really a goodbye letter they didn't realize they were writing. That's the truth hitting them like a steel door. Chosen one. They thought they were being strategic, clever, sneaky, twisting your story, shaping a fake version of you, rehearsing lines meant to damage your reputation while they pretended to be the innocent bystander. But every word they spoke was actually a self-erasing stroke, wiping themselves out of your life long before you even understood what they were doing. They never understood how the universe works. When they smeared your name, they weren't staining you. They were signing themselves out. They weren't sabotaging your path. They were removing themselves from it. Imagine someone trying to slam a door in your face, but accidentally stepping on the inside of the frame and locking themselves out while you walk forward freely. That's exactly the cosmic comedy they created. Here's the brutal truth. When someone lies about a chosen soul, it never lands on the target. It boomerangs. It sticks to the one who launched it. The universe doesn't let manipulation coexist with authenticity. It repositions people instantly. You didn't exile them. Their own words wrote their exit script. Their betrayal was the ticket that sent them out of your orbit. Imagine this. They walk into a room now, and the energy shifts, not dramatically, not loudly, but subtly enough that they feel it. Conversations feel heavier.
People look at them with quiet doubt, even if they don't know why. Energy picks up on dishonesty before the mind does, and their lie is still vibrating in the air like static.
That's the cost they're paying daily.
They truly believed they were pulling people away from you. But here's the reversal that kills them. They were only pushing themselves away.
You stayed aligned. You stayed steady. You didn't chase them. You didn't argue. You didn't try to fix what they broke. The universe simply moved them out of your future because someone with their level of insecurity and deceit cannot walk beside someone like you. And now every attempt they make to come back feels blocked. Not by anger, not by revenge, by a cosmic barrier they can't climb. A boundary placed by truth itself, protecting what's sacred. Your name, your path, your evolution. They won't find peace until they tell the truth. Because the distance they feel isn't physical, it's cosmic. And once you lie on a chosen one, that door doesn't reopen until honesty does. They erase themselves. Chosen one, they wrote their own ending. All you did was keep walking. Number 10. The person they lied to became the reflection they can't outrun. Every liar eventually meets the one pair of eyes they can't fool. That's the blade hanging over them now, chosen one. They thought their little performance would slide by unnoticed because they wrapped it in casual tone and fake concern. They assumed the listener was just another empty seat, another easy audience, another person who'd swallow whatever story they fed. But they were disastrously wrong. The person they whispered to wasn't random. They were positioned, placed, aligned. A quiet witness planted right where the lie would reveal itself. That listener didn't interrupt the liar. They didn't scold them. They didn't argue. They simply observed. And silence is the most dangerous response a liar can receive. Silence means the mind is working. Silence means the energy didn't match the story. Silence means the lie just walked into an emotional scanner and every insecurity inside it lit up red. And while the liar kept talking, the listener started paying attention to you. They watched how you move through the world, your calm, your emotional control, your lack of chaos, your refusal to strike back even when you had every reason to. They realized something impossible to ignore. This is not the villain I was warned about. Imagine trying to frame someone for a crime only to find out the judge has been silently studying the accused for months. That's exactly the hell they created for themselves. Now the liar sits in rooms that feel unfamiliar. Conversations hit differently. The trust they once enjoyed has evaporated. The person they tried to manipulate doesn't look at them with the same warmth anymore. The energy has shifted subtly, deeply, permanently. The liar can feel the cold edge of judgment every time that person's eyes meet theirs. They won't say it out loud, but they know something cracked, something changed, something died. And the liar doesn't know the exact moment it happened, but they know why. They know their own mouth created the trap. They know their own jealousy dragged them into a spotlight they didn't want. They know the very person they tried to use as a weapon now quietly stands on your side. Imagine this. They built a lie thinking it would corner you, but the universe flipped the mirror and cornered them. Now they flinch at every interaction, wondering how much was noticed, how much was understood, how much truth has been silently collected against them. You didn't expose them. You didn't need to. The universe assigned that job to someone who sees more than they speak. And now the liar is stuck facing the reflection they created. A reflection that judges them, remembers everything, and refuses to let them escape the consequences they invited with their own tongue. Number 11. They avoid your eyes because you're the truth they couldn't break. Nothing haunts a liar more than the strength of the person they failed to destroy. That's the gut punch ripping through them. Chosen one. They didn't just fail at tearing you down. They failed in a way that exposed every insecurity they were trying to hide. They swung every cheap shot they had, hoping you'd crack, hoping you'd collapse, hoping you'd give them the meltdown they needed to justify their jealousy. But you never allowed them that kind of satisfaction. You didn't break. You didn't collapse. You didn't descend to their frequency. You stayed intact, your character steady like a blade, honest, precise, and impossible to twist. While they were busy spreading chaos, you were busy rising above it. While they rehearsed disorder and drama, you refined your peace. They needed you to fall apart so their version of events could hold weight. They needed a reaction from you so they could justify playing the victim. But instead, you remained calm, composed, and unshaken. And that alone damaged them more deeply than any argument ever could. Picture them trying to label you as unstable, only to watch you enter every space with clarity, control, and presence. That is what haunts them now. Every time they see you succeeding, every time they see you intact, every time they see you unaffected, they're confronted with the truth they tried so hard to erase. You were never the issue. You were the reference point. And your light revealed every flaw in their own nature. Your silence became a reflection they cannot escape. It exposes their resentment, their insecurity, their envy. You didn't need to expose them. Your restraint did it for you. That's why they keep their distance, not because they've healed, but because of shame. Because being near you reminds them of the narrative they tried to build. Being near you forces them to remember what they did. Being near you forces them to face themselves. And they realize they tried to stain something untouched and failed completely. They closed the door on themselves. They destroyed their own access. They no longer belong beside the one they once tried to diminish. The universe finalized that separation. Let them remain where they are. That isn't exile, that is consequence. Your presence alone is the final judgment. So, chosen one, they tried to break you, but all they succeeded in doing was revealing who they truly are. Your growth, your peace, your strength turned every lie into nothing. Stand firm in that truth.